What is going on, everybody? It is 1814, and we are taking a little trip down to mighty Mississippi today with Colonel Jackson and some beans and bacon. I ate all those this morning. Welcome back to the Caffeinated Cryptid. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Please subscribe, hit that little bell, and field note, October 21st, Tennessee Haunts and Legends Expo. I'll be there with free swags and stickers. But enough about me. Our guest tonight, Mike Bleuler, from down in Biloxi, Mississippi, near the casinos. Not only is Mike an avid outdoorsman, he's also a decorated war veteran, father and grandfather. Several years ago, Mike had a Sasquatch encounter that changed his life and made this Bigfoot subject matter his life's passion. You can catch him on his channel at Red Creek Mafia. That's in the description. Mike, welcome. We're finally making it happen. Mike Bleuler's here.
What's up? Bob Dizzle for Shizzle.
Bobby Dizzle with the Angry Orchard. So what are we doing? We all had our snacks. We're all fed. The next stop is the bed and work tomorrow. So
yeah.
It's I've been podcasting all day, and I'm kind of.
I think we've been trying to fumes. If I'm not mistaken, I think we've been trying to do this for a while, but I think you had a break in your schedule, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had my guy tonight canceled. He had a nervous breakdown. Just took a social media hiatus. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to start calling people.
Well, hey, at least the guy let you know what was going on. I kind of got stuck out there.
He didn't let me know. I had to call his wife.
Oh, okay.
I had to message his wife. I'm like, hey, man, is he dead?
Yeah.
And casually asking around.
And I know that you have heard my encounter before, and
half a dozen times.
Yeah. I've been out there a little bit, man. Before I got into the podcast, the whole podcast thing. Yeah. I probably went out there a few times, and it took me a while.
Your story is like Ron Watt's tater salad story and Bert Kreischer's machine story. I'm like, it doesn't matter how many times you hear it. Like I wanted it from my own little personal version of it to pet and take home like a Pokemon. Like I listen to it in my own little special. I got thrown out of a bar in a tree stand in Biloxi, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely out there. That's for sure. I got to hand that to you. So, anytime you're ready to start, if you have any questions for me before I get into this, because, it's kind of detailed and it's kind of out there. Do you have any questions, or
not really.
There anything you want to?
Oh yeah, anything. I tell you what I like to do. I'd like to rant about people. This is a rant toward not you at all. It's basically to anybody listening. I don't think the Bigfoot community wants to solve the Bigfoot thing. I think they want to bitch about it. Because anytime you offer a solution to what it may or may not be, they always shoot you down. That makes me so mad.
Well, the thing about I can relate to what you just said right there.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the Bigfoot and just the cryptid community completely, when it comes to Dogman and everything, it's like gangs. It's like
crazy, man.
It's gangs, man. It's cliques, and but the big difference is the difference between the flesh and blood camp and the woo camp. And they just can't seem to get along. I mean, why can't they be both?
I'll tell you the difference in the flesh and blood camp and the woo camp. The woo camp actually have evidence and people that can corroborate their story. The flesh and blood camp are just sitting over there mad about it. A bunch of atheists.
Yeah, they're pretty much, yeah.
Like, no, they don't do that. There's no science. I'm like, there's no science for any of this shit. Don't crucify me on Reddit.
Yeah, I mean, who's into mainstream science, anyways? I mean, that's all corrupt on its own subject,
That's how you get a blood clot.
Yeah,
mainstream science. And a lithium battery caught on fire on the side of the interstate. Blood clots and burnt lithium. That's mainstream science.
The way I see it, man. The way I see it when it comes to these researchers and stuff like that. Yeah, don't go by what other people say. Go out there and do your own thing.
Yeah, I started this podcast to hear stories. I wasn't trying to be a researcher. Maybe put some similarities together. I wasn't ready for the similarities to happen so fast.
Bobby, I've never knew. I know you got a podcast, but I don't know much about you. Have you ever had anything happen to you?
Not really. I do a lot of angel numbers like that. Like they're in my face all the time. Like I see one number all the time. something else. Yeah, that's a big one. Like I can just kind of follow if something's bad's happening to me. I'll see that number and know it's going to be okay. And sure enough. But as far as that goes, I've just been fascinated since I was little. I read a ghost story book about Sasquatch one time. I always loved ghost stories, even before that. Then just listening to Rick and Bubba, they always have the Bigfoot segments on. It's always been something I'm fascinated with, and when I started doing podcasts, every once in a while I'd get a Bigfoot guest, and that'd be like the best guest I ever had. So I started getting more and more, and here we are.
Yeah,
I have a monkey behind me. That's what happened.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and do this real quick.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to hear the best Bigfoot story you've ever heard.
Oh, stop it!
Hey, name a better one.
Donnie Miller story.
Listen to that one. I know that one. I don't think I know that one. I have to get Donnie Miller on here now. It's the best one I've ever heard.
I tell you what, Donnie Miller is a really good friend of mine, and he's not been on my show yet. He's not very, he'll tell on his channel, but I'll get him one day. I'm pretty sure I will.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell the ones that are really sincere because they're not doing a worldwide tour. Like certain people, not you. I'm talking about others.
Yep. So let's get this started real quick.
Let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. The Mike Bleuler Red Creek Bigfoot story. Get you something to drink and refreshment, and a nice comfy couch.
All right.
You got thrown out of a bar in New York City. I mean, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I did not. That's a lie.
When I was 18, I got involved with the Russian Mafia. No difference.
I've never been to New York. How about that? Smarty pants.
Oh.
So anyways, serious side on this. It was December 16th of 2020. Okay. People that don't know about hunting in South Mississippi, it's way different than what you would think, like in the Midwest or even in, northern top of Alabama or the northern top of Mississippi or all through Tennessee. Okay, we have an archery season, that lasts. It goes from the 15th till about, it's not long, it's about 3 weeks long. And after that, they have a dog season. And when I say dog season, you're not hunting dogs. They use dogs to hunt deer. Okay. If you think of like a beagle hound, hunting squirrels and rabbits, they use walker hounds, which it's an American fox dog. That's like a big tradition down here. It's been going on for over 100 years, and it's only in the south of the state. They got it in South Louisiana too. And what they do is it's all public land. You can't. It's so big that you can't have a lease for only dog hunting because it covers a big area. What they do is they'll go in the middle of a national forest, where it's public, and they'll circle off a huge area. We're talking about we're talking about 10 miles by 10 miles. And they'll circle it off, and there'll be nothing but Toyota trucks with dog boxes and everything.
Oh yeah.
And they turn these hounds loose, and it's all on walkie-talkie in a truck. We hear the dogs coming. Get ready. That kind of thing. I was never a big fan of that because when I was younger, I tried that, and I seen what they did, and they shoot anything.
Yep.
Pretty much, they shoot
whatever
anything.
Pops up.
If it's there's a saying, man. If it's brown, it's down.
Oh yeah, I used to have that sticker on my Toyota truck with a dog box in the back.
Is that right?
But I digress.
You scumbag, you. But anyways,
I never dog hunted. I was a coon hunter, but
no, I'm joking. But anyways, it was just very dangerous, and it's all shotguns too. It's all buckshot. Close to the road, they shoot it. There's supposed to be when the game warden comes down the road and they see all these people lined up, they're supposed to be like 100 foot in the woods, and they have to shoot it in the woods, but they don't do that. It's, just whatever crosses the road. And, I kind of grew up on that kind of stuff, and I didn't care for it too much. And, you know, once I went in the army and all that stuff and came back to all that, it's like it got even worse. It's like, I mean, it's bad. They get, they're all drinking and they're smoking dope and, shit like that. And they just kill anything. Coyote, no matter what, if it runs across the road, it's dead. And, just wasn't my thing. So, when that time, when that time of the year came, I used to always either go to a lease that I was on, or I would go to a WMA. That year I was not in a lease. And there was one particular WMA that was like 2 counties up from where I live. And when you go and, when you the particular one I was in, it was Leaf River Management Area. And the game wardens are very strict in there. If you have if you have a gun and you're a felon, you're gone. If you're all in there, with a dog box full of dogs, you're going to jail, that kind of thing. And yeah, just one of them kind of things. I was trying to get away from all that, and there was a I need to turn my mic's a little too loud. Turn that down.
Hot mic.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I can. Yeah, I can hear my mic hit my eardrums a little bit too hard on that. Yeah. You can still hear me, right?
Oh, I can hear you fine.
So anyways, that particular year, I went up there, and this spot in Leaf River, I knew it like the back of my hand. I used to go up there every year. There's 2 dog seasons, by the way. There's 2 dog seasons. There's one right after archery, and then there's another one that comes back in December. And it takes up pretty much the whole month of December. And then after that, down here, the rut starts like, at the end of January into February, because, it's hotter down here. But anyways, it was it was a second dog season, and I went up the Leaf River, and I've been up there my whole life. I had, I've hunted multiple areas in there, but there was this one particular spot that I used to go. I mean, it was so unorthodox, because there was a game warden station right there, and then there was this huge ryegrass field straight across from it. And Bobby, I got to tell you, you want to talk about a ryegrass field? This thing was 200 yards wide and about 1,000 yards long. It was a huge one.
That's your big boy.
Yeah. And I used to hunt on that ryegrass field.
Why ryegrass, though? Do they plant it like that, or did it just grow?
No, they plant it. And
it's like a big food plot then.
Yeah, big food plot,
Okay.
But anyways, that particular year, I kind of, I hunted on that food plot, 100 times before, and I jack up a tree and never would, nothing, every now and then you'd see like a little small doe or whatever, nothing to shoot. And I'm like, you got this big old ryegrass field, and why is nothing coming out? So there was some power lines that right to the west of it that ran adjacent to it, north and south. And I figured that, the year before my encounter, I figured it out. I used to go all the way down the power lines, and I used to get like 200 yards behind that field down the power lines. And I found like the perfect pine tree, you can get up, and you can get up 30 foot, 50 foot, whatever. And it was one of them tree climbing stands. You sit on the top part and you drag your feet up. It was a summit stand is what it was. I had it figured out. These deer in Mississippi are very skittish, very nocturnal, because of the hunting pressure. Even though you can't dog hunt there, a lot of people hunt there. And the year before my encounter, I got up that tree, and I had very good luck, because I would catch these deer coming out, right before dark, to line up to get on that field. They wouldn't get on the field, but they would, they get, 20, 30 yards in the bushes. And, when they figured there was nobody going out there, they go out there and eat. But I used to catch them, and I had really good luck out there. So what I did this year, I did the same exact thing, man. Same exact thing. I bypassed the field, and I knew that spot very good, man. Very, very, I hunted it for a long time. Hold on just a minute, Bob. Give me a second. My dogs are barking.
Uh-oh. Bigfoot's back.
No, Bigfoot's not back. I don't know what it is. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry, man.
Have a disturbance. Let's go to the chat here. Wouldn't you know it? Oh, we got Wendell here. Got Squatching. We got Jim, who is lying through his teeth. Got Johnny Rib. What is in here? Howdy. How's everybody doing? Enjoying so far? Got your drinks? Hope nobody's robbing Mike's house. I got to hear this Donnie Miller one. Like, why have I never heard of this? Sounds like a country singer. Donnie Miller.
All right. Sorry about that.
Oh, we're worried sick. So what if somebody robs his house right in the middle of this? It'd be my luck.
I got something for them if they want to do that. But anyways.
Be a bad day, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it wouldn't be good for them.
Be a whole nother encounter.
So anyways, this particular year, let me backpedal a little bit,
Do it.
Yeah, second dog season was coming in, and it was really bad that year. And, I didn't participate or anything like that. And, I went to Leaf River. It was the first day I hunted it that year. It was December 16th. And I went down the power lines just like I always do. And I had like a perfect tree picked out, from the year before. And it was like perfect. You get up and you could see the whole north side and the whole south side of the power line. The whole thing.
Mm-hmm. You had like a skyscraper view of it all. Just
yep. And if I looked over my left shoulder, I can see the backside of that. I can see the backside of that ryegrass field too. It was, it was an ambush. Yeah, it was an ambush, of course. And let your viewers know what I thought about Bigfoot before that. I don't think I even believed in it, man. If I can remember, like when I was a kid, like back in like the late 70s, like when I was like 5 or 6 years old, I can remember, seeing like the Patterson Gimlin footage and all that. And I used to ask people about that, and I'd be like, they'd be like, oh, that's not real, that kind of thing.
Monkey suit. You always hear monkey suit, guy in a suit.
Mm-hmm. So anyways, got up the tree, and that time of the year it's getting dark at like 5:30. It's like 5:30, and I got up the tree probably 1 o'clock. I always did that. I always got up early, and I like to go in early. Let the woods calm down. You just walked in, get, even though I was up pretty high. You walked in. Your smell is gonna still linger a little bit. So
always give it an hour or so.
90
minutes.
Yeah, let it cool off a little bit, and I got up and I got comfortable, and the first thing I noticed that was different from any other time was how quiet it was. No action. I'd always see like a fox squirrel or birds or anything like that. It was just like dead.
Chipmunks dancing around.
No chipmunks, but just nothing. It was just like it was crazy. It was just nothing there. Just I had the perfect wind too. I had the wind was hit me, right in my face, a little bit to the right, a little bit. So I knew I was good because I'm hunting on the power lines. Power lines are in front of me. I'm on the east side of the power lines. I'm facing west, And it was just very strange to me, anytime I've ever hunted in there, full of wildlife, stuff going
Yep.
on. And it was just very weird to me. And it wasn't even really that, sometimes when it gets like super cold, it's like that too, when it's cold,
Yeah.
cold, you might see a squirrel or whatever, but not too many birds or nothing like that. But it wasn't that cold, it's probably, oh, I don't know, probably high 30s that day.
Tolerable.
Yeah, tolerable.
Very tolerable.
And I just sat there puzzled, I said something is off, something is off. I can't put my finger on it, but I don't know what it is either. So it got to be, this was probably around 2 o'clock. It got to be, I waited, and when I hunt, I don't have like my cell phone out or nothing. I don't, I'm like a statue in a tree, and it got to be, oh God, man, a couple hours later, got to be probably 4:10, 4:15, somewhere around in there. And I finally get some action behind me, east behind me. Not far away either. Not very far away. I would say 70 yards behind me. I start getting some action. Something is in it, and it's very another thing to make this story connect. South Mississippi is very thick. Very thick. Like it's nothing but gallberries and briars, and you might get up your stand 30 foot and everything looks clear, but when you get down, everything's like up over your head, the underbrush and all that. And yeah, man, it got to be 4:30 or what? No, about 4:15, and I start hearing something coming behind me, and I didn't know what it was. I thought it was, Leaf River is notorious for hogs and stuff like that. And it was very heavy, the way it was, the way it was stepping. It was like, it was like breaking small sticks. It was like crunch, 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 crunch. And, I'm not, I'm not looking for anything bipedal or anything like that. I'm thinking it's a hog because of the weight of it, or either that or a really big buck. And it's but it's not walking fast. It's like it's taking its time. It's like crunch, 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 and it gets almost behind me, and it starts circling off to my right, not far away. It's crunch, 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 and then it gets directly on the right side of me, about 30 or 40 yards away, and it stops. And I'm looking for this thing. I'm up over this thing, over it. And I'm trying to, see what it is. But the Mississippi, it's so thick, they got to burn it every year. They do like prescribed burns all over the state. The forestry comes in, they burn it just to knock, try to help knock it down a little bit. But that year they didn't burn. And I'm looking for this thing and I can't see it. And all of a sudden I start hearing like breathing, like very loud breathing, like almost labored breathing, like something's like almost choking to breathe. Like something's got, if it's big, it's got like a cold in its chest. And, I'm trying to look for it and I can't see it. That went on for about a minute and it stops. Everything stops. And, it stops. I'm looking for it, and a couple minutes went by, and I'm like, what is that? I hear something vibrating.
It's my phone. My family's blowing me up. Had to throw it in the floor. I'm like, God Almighty, it's loud.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So no, you're good. You're good.
It was on my table.
I thought that was on my side. I was like, what?
No, it's me. That? I was like, what in the hell? Is conversation going on?
So, anyways, I don't hear it anymore. And I'm like, damn, I was thinking at first it could have been like a hog or something that got shot, and maybe it was like the lungs filling up with blood or something. I was like, damn, this thing's gonna, die on the side of me. But I didn't hear no gunshot, and I'm up in the air. If somebody would have shot a gun, I would have heard it. No doubt about it.
Especially for it to be running underneath you like that.
Yeah. And it was nothing, just pure silence after that. So I came to terms with it. I'm like, oh, that was probably a deer, or that was a hog or something, and it probably seen me or it smelled me, and maybe it slipped out and I didn't hear it. One of them kind of childish things.
Yeah.
And I came to terms with it. So I'm facing west. I'm on the east side of the power lines, and it gets to be, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes later, and now the sun is on top of the trees pointing west. It's not it's not setting yet, but it's up over the trees. It's that time of the day when you're getting blinded. You can't see anything. You're kind of like this, looking, that kind of deal. And I fought that sun for about a few minutes, and all of a sudden I'm facing straight again. And in my right peripheral, I look down, in my right peripheral, I catch something black in my right peripheral. And I turned towards it, and it looked to me to be a black bear. But it was a good ways off. It was about 150 yards off. And, I'm still, scrambling with the sun and all that. And, I got to looking at it, and, so, I grabbed my gun, and I'm right-handed. I didn't want to, turn too much. Oop, there went my mic.
You turn too much, you get a cramp. I've tried that before.
Yeah.
Try to shoot out this side, end up getting a cramp in your sternum. I can't hear you anymore. I think you're muted. Not muted, but I think your mic's off. Something.
Yeah, I muted it.
Yeah, there you go. Bigfoot's messing with your stuff tonight.
No.
He's like, I thought we had something special. He starts fucking with your electronics.
No. But anyways, instead of like making a dramatic turn in my stand and trying to freehand it like this, when I seen him, it looked like he was on all fours. So I thought it was a bear. And we have black bears in Mississippi. It's not like a high abundance. I have had them on trail cams before in Red Creek and stuff like that. And when you see them, it's like usually a small one or something like that, and they'll have like an orange collar around their neck, where the state released it. And I didn't want to make too much. I just wanted to look at it, in my scope, but I didn't want to make too much action, so I tried to go left-handed. Where I can just, put it on my stand and look at him. And, I was trying to finagle going left-handed and all that. And it took me a minute to find him. But when I did, the very first thing that I seen on this thing, by this time he's sitting down. He's sitting down. It looked like, from that far away, I mean, it looked like a very large man sitting down with a lot of hair on him. But, Sasquatch is still not on my mind. So I powered my scope up a little bit, and the first thing that I noticed was the hair on the back. The hair on the back, it wasn't like what you would think of like dog hair, or like the undercoat of a dog or a bear. It was hair. It was sure enough hair. And in between the hair, you can see his skin. The skin was ashy gray, for sure. No doubt about it, it was. And I panned up on the top of his head, and it looked very gorilla looking. Like if you see a gorilla in a zoo or something like that. But different too. The shape, the shape of the top of the head, it was conical shape, but it wasn't like pronounced, to like a football, like people say. But it was there. It was there. And he was also digging in the dirt with his left hand. Like he was taking his hand and he's pawing in the dirt, doing like that. And when I seen all that, I started getting freaked out. I'm like, what am I really looking at here?
I can't imagine that initial just.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know what I was looking at. Sasquatch is still not on my mind. I think maybe at this point I might have been in shock. I think maybe I was thinking maybe I am looking at a bear, but maybe I'm just at a weird angle, that kind of thing. And all of a sudden he turns his head to the left. He didn't do like that, but it was real slow. And had him in the scope the whole time. And I remember seeing a piece of the eye, the piece of the eye, his eye, from what I can see, it looked like it was solid black. And his face also, the side of his face that I seen looked pronounced black, like that black, like somebody painted his face black. I mean, it was pronounced black. I seen a piece of his nose. It didn't look gorilla at all. It looked like ours, but maybe more pronounced, maybe more wider. But it was definitely a hooded nose. And I seen a piece of the mouth too. The mouth looked to be. It just didn't make any sense. No sense at all. So, yeah, man. I didn't know what to do at the, I didn't know what to do at that point. I didn't know what to do about that. Didn't know what to do about that. And I sat there for a few minutes and I watched him, kind of look around and stuff like that. And I'm thinking in my mind, what do you do? What is this? I'm not sure if I didn't think that was somebody, playing a joke on me or something, but it's just so remote where I was at. It just didn't make no sense. Why would somebody go through all that? And I screamed at him. I did. I screamed at him. I just said, "Hey," that kind of thing. And when I did that, he put his hands on the side of him and he popped up on 2 feet like it was nothing. Like it was just nothing. Made no sense. Just like he went from his hands to and he's standing up now, like nothing. He starts walking in this weird, like oblong circle, and he's looking down the power lines. He's like looking, like he was freaked out, You can tell it, That's why I think I was there before him. I mean, I think I was. He's popping his head and he's looking north, south, east, and west. He looked at my way a couple times. The first time, he looked my way, and I'm like, I'm trying to.
And he's standing up at this point.
Yes, 150 yards away. And I just got my gun clutch, and I'm pretty sure I was shaking at the time. And he screamed. When he screamed, that's the scream that everybody talks about. It's the difference between like a lion and elephant, or maybe if you're at a rock concert next to a speaker, you can feel it reverberate you. And I didn't understand that. I was like, what the hell is this? What's going, I'm at this time, I'm like really trying to stay still. And there was one point where he looked my way and his eyes got like really big. I don't know if maybe I gave away my position or whatever. I get nervous talking about this, but
understandable. That's a deal. Was there a point? Sorry, I don't want to. But was there a point when he was closer to you and then he ran away to be 150 yards away?
No, okay, he was 150 yards. But
okay,
there was a point
all
where
happening like at 100 yards or so.
And there was a point where he like looked at me and his eyes got like really big. But even then, there was no like whites in the eyes, like what you would think. Bob, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the Patterson Gimlin footage. I don't know if you've seen like
glanced at it a time or two.
I don't know if you've seen like the Freeman footage and stuff like that. It's always
I've seen most of them.
It's like they're walking away, they don't want to be seen, that kind of thing. It was complete reverse. He walked straight to me, straight to me, straight to me. So he starts walking, and the way he was walking was very weird. When he started walking, the way he was swinging his arms, I always tell everybody it looked like the motion he was making, like maybe he was on a pair of snow skis, or maybe he was on a pair of snow skis, or like a elliptical machine. And when I seen him start walking to me, I looked down at my gun and I unbolted the chamber just to make sure I didn't dummy up. I had a 7mm Magnum and I slammed it back shut, getting ready. And we're talking about, oh God, man, we're talking about 4 seconds tops, maybe that's given a lot. And when I look back up, he is now 30 yards in front of me. From 100.
That's when it was close to you. Sorry, I had it mixed up in my head. I thought he started out close, ended up far away.
Yeah, but how do you explain him going
from now he's 30
from 150 in 4 seconds?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's almost like maybe he glided to me. I don't know. And I put him back in the scope. Now he's just looking at me at this point. And I put him back in the scope, and he just looked like a big black blur. So I powered the scope back down, and that's when I really got a really good chance to look at him really good. And man, there's a lot that happened like in a short amount of time, man. You could see in his face, you can see that this wasn't like this wasn't like a dumb animal or nothing like this. You could tell this was like a thinking being. Like when he was looking, you can see like the way his face was moving and stuff like that. You can see that like it was almost like he didn't know what he was looking at. If that makes sense, but almost even more like a disgusted look, if that makes sense. There was a few times in this encounter where he would shuffle a certain way. He didn't stay still the whole time. He's kind of going around a little bit back and forth, and every now and then he would shuffle a certain way. And I had him in the scope the whole time, but I would draw down on him. And what I mean by that is, like getting ready. I'm fixing to have to shoot this thing. When I would do that, he would turn his head to the side like this, and it looked like one eye was looking at the ground and another one was looking at me. And it was like he was giving me the look like, you're not going to do that. You're not shooting that gun. Don't do that. That happened several times. Man, it's just so much, man. His hands, his arms were very long. It looked like maybe the palms of his hands went past his knees just a bit, but his hands were big, man. I don't know if you've ever seen like Finding Bigfoot and all that, where they had the Yeti hand in the glass. You seen that?
Yeah.
That's accurate. That's very accurate. How long the fingers are. Very
the one they had from like Tibet or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's accurate. But the one in the glass, you can tell it's been over time. It's just long fingers now, but the circumference of his fingers were like small little bananas, man. Oh man, it was crazy. His fingernails, if you look at his, I looked at his fingernails, I had him in the scope the whole time. If you look on your fingernail, you have them white moons. He had them, and the meat in his fingernail weren't like ours though. It was like dark purple or black. Yes, sir. And he did at one point he did like a yawn. I want to say it was a yawn. He could have been like bailing his teeth at me, but and after I've talked to people, a lot of people after this encounter, and they say primates do that. When they feel pressure or something, they do like a yawn, and that's what he did. And I got to see his whole top end row, bottom row too, man. It was white. that's why I don't think he was a very old one, man. I think I don't think he was a juvenile, but I think in our years it would be probably 22, 23, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Still a big guy. But there was no tooth decay or nothing like that. He had perfect white square teeth. There was no canines, no nothing like that. No nothing like that.
Like
And he only
chiclets.
did, yeah, like white chiclets, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And he only did that for like a split second, but I got to see all that. His hands. Let's get back to his hands. He didn't have long fingernails and nothing like that. I don't know. I don't know if they bite them off or whatever, or if they just use their hands that much to where it just keeps them short like that. But like his fingertips and stuff look like, you see a guy that's in like really heavy construction.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Kind of marred up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Pocked up.
Yep. So after all that, he started acting like he was getting ants in his pants. Like he wanted to, like, I don't know if he wanted to try. He would never get any closer than like 30 yards away. But he never would like back off either. It was like he wasn't going anywhere. It was like he was trying to, stand his ground or whatever. And it got, I'm paying attention to him, but I'm also starting to realize that, it's not going to be too much longer until this guy's, I'm going to be in a pitch black with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that a couple times, but I just didn't know what to do. He wasn't going anywhere. And I had to make a choice. It started getting, I could see it was starting to get darker and darker and darker. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do?
And he's at 30 yards.
30,
That's so close.
That's 90 feet. 90
that's
feet.
So close. That's what you practice your bow at. Like, that's
well,
so
when
close.
when he first walked, when he first, circled around me, there's a dogwood tree right there.
Mm-hmm.
I've been back to that dogwood tree, and there was the first branch that come out. He kept ducking up under it, but he wouldn't like duck his whole body. He'd just like move his head around it. And I went back to that spot, man, and that first branch is easy 8 foot. And if he was just moving his head around it, he could have been 8 or 9 foot, But that, that's another. Yeah, I just want to add that in there. And there was a point where I had to make a choice, and I'm thinking to myself, if I'm going to get home, I got to shoot this thing. So it got to a point, man, I had to make a choice, and it was the worst choice I ever had to make, to be honest with you. One of the worst ones. I put him back in the scope, and I didn't put it right between his eyes. I put it up on his forehead a little bit. And I'm starting to get duck voice now because I'm starting to get like I need a drink of water. Hey, can I do that real quick?
Yeah, you can definitely have water. Here on the Caffeinated Cryptid with Bobby Dizzle podcast, our guests are allowed to consume water. Let's check the comments. We got Flat Rock here. We got Long Island, who states that there are explanations to this, but they're not in the science books. And I've been fighting that fight on Reddit all week. Yeah, this is a good story. I don't know why there's not a documentary on it. Look, you can hear him. He's fine. Leave me alone. What else? Let me check up here. I'm not doing comments much tonight because this is a narrative only. Wendell's not talking to our mic. He's talking to another mic about a story earlier on unidentified S4. Check that out on my Facebook. I posted earlier. That was a good show. It was amazing. Long Island showed up. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Really enjoying this story so far. Like it feels like a late night, like in one of those old detective movies where the woman shows up and starts telling them how something happens. There's a cigarette going, the ceiling fans all slow. Rebel said he's glued to the store. I told you, Rebel. I told you it's going to be a good one. Scott said, "Oh wow, it is getting interesting. This story here is a textbook example of why I started this podcast. Some of the ones I've had, some of the people I've had on recently have tainted my good name, but this is restoring it. Yeah, man. You know what it feels? It feels like the serious version of how when on Joe Dirt, whenever he goes on the talk show with Dennis Leary, and he's like, "No, we're not cutting away from this at all. Tell us again." He goes, "We'll be here all day. I gotta fill 2 hours. This is not filler for sure." While we wait, check out this. I've been messing with AI lately. Oh, there's Mike. There he is, man, the legend. Literally.
So, yeah, I had to make a choice. I'll go back to that, and I was thinking to myself, what am I gonna do? He's not going anywhere. I don't know exactly what I was thinking at the point, but I'm pretty sure I was thinking, how am I going to get out of the woods tonight? That kind of thing. So, anyways, back, I put the crosshairs up on his forehead a little bit, and just like in the Army, how I learned, you get your steady target, you get a lock on it, and you exhale as you squeeze. And I got about halfway through it, man. I'm so glad my gun didn't go off, man. I got about halfway through the squeeze, and I flinched. I quit. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Let me go back to before I did that.
Mm-hmm.
I kept telling you that every time I would draw down on him, he would turn his head to the side. That last time he didn't. It's just like, it's almost like he trusted me. It's almost like, I don't know what it was. He just sat there puzzled looking like a kid or something. This is the best way I can put it. And I could not do it, man. Humanity kicked in. He looked too human in the face. And I got to thinking, I said, this has got to be some kind of people. This has got to be something we're not being told. I knew nothing about all this shit back then,
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be, there's got to be something to this. I'm making a huge mistake if I do this kind of deal.
Yeah.
He still didn't go anywhere. And I put my gun to the side, and I stood up in my stand, and I basically committed suicide is what I did. Basically, I think. I stood up in my stand, and I just reached my arms out to him, and I said, "What do you want?" I'm sure there was an F-bomb in there or whatever. And when I did that, everything changed. Everything changed. He screamed back. He screamed right back at me. Right back at me. But it was way different. It was like like from his belly, I guess you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a draw up, when he did it, it was like a draw up, like his shoulders got really big and his hair started puffing out. And when he turned it loose, his eyes, his nose, his mouth all went to one, like one piece of meat, and protruded out about 12 inches, and he turned it loose. And the best way I can explain it, it just looked like a bunch of like flapping meat when he did it. But it was so powerful when he did it. So powerful. Like being deployed overseas, like a bomb goes off a mile away, you're safe, but you can still like feel the flash and the heat off of it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I've actually pulled the shot on about 50 pounds of C4 before, so I know what that feels like.
Okay. Well, that's what his scream.
Tugging on your shirt a little bit kind of feeling.
That's what his scream felt like that, but it wasn't no tugging on the shirt, buddy. It was like it felt like it was gonna like blow me out the tree.
Mm-hmm.
When his face went back to normal, it was like something out of a comic book, man. It made no sense.
That's wild. It just came out like just
it was just like a bunch of flapping meat, but the power from it was, I felt it on the power, when he was 150 yards down the power line, when he screamed the first time, you could feel a little reverberation.
And that was the same kind of scream with the first time he did it?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Same kind of scream, but just
you felt it 120 yards closer this time.
Yeah.
So it was like being behind a jet engine.
Exactly. So he goes back to all fours and hauls ass across the power line. And the way he even ran, the way he ran on all fours made no sense, I don't know it was so unorthodox. If you see the way that like a big dog runs, like a Great Dane runs, it looks like really sloppy and lerpy. It was like that, but it was super fast. He gets across the power line. Now he's talking to me. He's like talking to me. It's like, I wouldn't even like being, I would do it no justice, but it was just like that. Yeah. That kind of stuff.
Was it the Sierra Sounds that he was saying? Moorhead?
Mm-hmm. Sounded very demonic to me. The way he was doing it.
Tasmanian devilish kind of.
Yeah, just that kind of stuff. And then he did that for, I don't know, it wasn't very long, 10, 15 seconds. And then after that, he would turn that screen loose. Same scream. He is pulling up gallberry bushes by the roots and chunking them out in the middle of power lines. He's knocking trees down. It sounded like when he was going through the woods, it sounded like he was on a traco. It was that serious. Wow. It was bad. At this time, I see Danny in there, Tasmanian devil. Yeah, it's about what it's like to. Yeah.
Hey, somebody else described it. Somebody else said they saw heard the Tasmanian devil in their yard and saw two red eyes. So that's why I said that.
So, anyways, he's doing all that shit, and now I am standing up in my tree stand. I got my gun up my waist and head on a swivel, and but it's weird. It's like I'm thinking to myself, this guy's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. He's going to come back on this side, and I did something to him that triggered him. But he's moving further north as he's doing all this stuff on the west side. I'm on the east side of the power line. It's on the west side of the power line. And he starts moving north, but every now and then I would see like a piece of his shoulder or a piece of the top of his head. He's moving through, so I'm sitting there waiting, but he just keeps going north. But he's definitely talking and screaming the whole time and just grunting and doing all kind of stuff. And I got to say it had to been it keeps going further north. It had to been probably around right where I seen him at first, but across the power line, he shoots back across, and it looked just like a black flash. Just now he's on my side, but he's going further north, and he's ripping up shit. He's doing his whole deal, and then everything stops. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, I need to get down now. I keep, psyching myself out. Yeah, you need to get down. No, you need to stay up. Yeah, you need to get down. No, you need to stay up. That went on for 2 or 3 minutes and everything's quiet, and all of a sudden it sounded to be probably about 200 yards away on my side, but, further north. I couldn't see him or nothing because nothing but woods right there.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like a fresh green snap crackle cow tree break. When I heard that, I said, that's got to be him. Maybe he's far, he's far, it's far enough away now I can get down. I come down my tree, boom, 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 all the way down. I start running down the power lines, and I'm running for my life. But as soon as I touched the power line, I got a vocalization. It was almost like he knew I got down from my tree. Just a big holler. I'm running south. I got my rifle on my back. I'm running as fast as I can go, full adrenaline. And when he vocalized, I looked behind me, and the power lines were cut fresh that year.
Mm-hmm.
If it was 1,000 yards away, you could see it down there, but I couldn't see anything. He was probably still in the woods. So I'm running. And that particular year, I was out of shape bad, man. I was a little heavy that year.
Mm-hmm.
So, after 150 yards, a fast run goes to a fast walk, and I'm walking. Every now and then he would vocalize again. I'm like, fuck, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go. And I finally stopped. And then all of a sudden, not behind me, but 40 feet in the bushes on the side of me, I hear a crash, like a, that kind of thing. I'm like, holy fucking shit, what was that? So I start walking, and now whatever is on the side of me is walking with me, but in the woods. And I got to be honest with you, I didn't think it was another Bigfoot. I thought it could have been like a deer or something. That maybe this fucking thing was running from the same thing that I'm running from.
Mm-hmm.
That
But
kind of
the whole woods are fleeing, just everything at once.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And I start walking, and all of a sudden I hear him back there, rah, go off, and I keep walking, and I got this thing on the side of me now, and it's walking with me. And I would stop, but I knew it was something on the side of me, because every time I would stop, it would like take an extra step. I'm like, okay, maybe it's just something scared like me, And on this power line, I have to say, from that tree stand to my truck is probably 3/4 of a mile, somewhere around in there. It's a good ways off, but it's a straight cut power line. And I've hunted this power line my whole life. I mean, for many years. There's a point on this power line. I always called it the halfway mark. It's like this weird growth. It comes out on the power line, but it don't go all the way across. It goes halfway. I always called it like the plateau. It's like a weird little growth. And it's only about that high, and there's like pine tree saplings on it, just one of them kind of things. Well, I seen it coming up, but it was still way down there. And I'm still doing the same thing. I'm walking, I'm running, and this thing on the side of me is still paralleling me. And I'm like, anytime, this thing's going to come out the woods, it's probably going to be a deer or something, but I'm walking, and nothing comes out. And I'm like, this is weird. And he is done calm down back there, but every now and then he'll scream. But I done got some distance on him, so I'm starting to feel good in my heart that I'm gonna get back to my truck. So I start running, and man, it got dramatic, dude. It was like I'm running this little this little island's coming up. I probably got about 100 yards, and I'm gonna be on that weird little island, and this thing is closing on me. And man, I'm telling you, it got so dramatic to where I'm almost to the island, and I can hear this thing on the side of me. I can see the bushes moving, but I can't see it. I get to that island, man, and I cracked a shot in the air, dude. Pow! 7mm mag.
Ooh, like a cannon.
Yeah, like a cannon. When I did that, everything stopped. Everything stopped. I get over the little plateau thing, and right after that, Mississippi, well, definitely South Mississippi. There's not a whole lot. There's no mountains in Mississippi. There's like one on the top of the state. It's like a freak of nature thing. But there is, there's a lot of hills. And right after that island, I crossed it. I no longer heard anything behind me or on the side of me or anything. It's like that gunshot stopped everything. But I crested this huge hill after this on the power line. I got over it and I seen my truck, but it was still way down there, probably 300 yards. It was so far down there that I can only like see the top of my truck. Couldn't see the doors or the tires or anything like that. Buddy, when I seen my truck, I caught another gear I didn't know I had. It was like I was there in no time.
You was scooting.
Yeah.
Heel toe.
Oh yeah. So anyway, finally I'm at my truck, okay, and I circled around my truck and I pulled my key out, and it was like right before I pulled my key out, it was like my conscience was like, Mike, get out of here. Don't let the curiosity get the best of you, this, that, and the other. I listened. I stuck my key in my truck, and as soon as I did that, man, I heard another scream. It was way, way, way back there, and it was way different. It wasn't like a roar or anything like that. It was like a baboon screech, and at the end of it was like the crack of a whip, like a cow. I get in my truck. Okay, this road that I come in on, it has a cul-de-sac at the end of it. Okay, you drive down like 2 miles, and there's a big turnaround, and you make that turnaround and you pass back through. I wasn't passing back through. No way. No way. No way. I backed up into the ditch, and I just about got stuck, man. It was
That'd
bad.
been great.
That'd have been wonderful, huh?
Spend the night out there.
Oh. So anyways, I finally get out, I kept, turning my wheel this way and turning my wheel this way. And I finally got out of it. And this is nothing but dirt roads in this WMA. I mean, I still probably got 5 miles to get out of here, Dude, Bob, I'm telling you, every right and left-hand turn, my ass in is kicking around. I went into pine trees a couple times, just about. I finally hit blacktop. I'm on Highway 26, and I got that little GMC to the floor as fast as it'll go. It was an old hunting truck, probably do 90 or whatever. 100 on, 100 on a good day if you got new tires and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And
you didn't cut it off, did you? Going too fast where it stops going? About 85.
No, I just had it pegged, man. And I'm going down Highway 26, and that's probably about 15 miles, and then I finally catch a left on Highway 15 back to Biloxi. What used to take me an hour and 10 minutes to get to that spot from my house took me about 45 minutes. Yeah, we cut a lot of time off of that.
Yeah. It's one of the cops didn't.
I don't know how. I don't know how no authority got me that day. I didn't care.
What would you have said? Sorry.
I'd
have probably thought you were on drugs. You'd have went to jail.
Yeah. So I get to my house. Check this out. I get to my house, and I live in a city, man. I live in a city. I'm in Biloxi. Have you been to Biloxi before?
Mm-mm.
Okay, Biloxi.
I imagine it's a city. I believe you.
It's a city. It's a casino town. We got like 13 casinos there.
Been to Tunica.
Nah, Biloxi is a little bit bigger than that. I've been to Tunica, but I'm gonna tell you, man, I live in a neighborhood. We're talking about neighbors up the ass, that kind of thing. And when I pulled into my driveway, I was still psyching myself out to even get out the truck. We're talking about 7:30 at night. Couldn't get out my truck. I get out my truck. I finally did it. I put my gun on my shoulder, and I can remember going to my house, throwing my 7 mag on my bed, and I went and took a shower and laid in there like the fetal position, like, you know, for like over an hour, you know, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I got out, and I can remember passing out on the couch, and I woke up the next day and I thought everything was a dream. I thought it was all a dream. And when I walked to my bedroom, that's when I realized it wasn't a dream. I see my gun sitting there on the bed. Yeah, took a toll on me. It took me a
I bet,
long time to
I bet
talk
like the
about.
transition from it's a dream to it's real was a rough one.
Yeah, because I thought it was a dream. I really did. I
I
did.
can see.
Yeah, that you know, that went on for a little while, and I ended up losing my job over it, dude. It was that bad.
Really, I didn't know
Yeah.
about that.
Yep. Lost my job. I had a really good. I was a warehouse manager, and I was making good money, and uh, I didn't want to go to work. I went to work a couple times and just couldn't hack it. It was more about I didn't believe what happened to me, and even if I would tell anybody, would they believe me? Kind of thing.
See, here's here's what I always ask the question to people that have like real stories like that. How do you continue in life? Well, I guess it's one of those things.
I guess it depends on. I reckon. I reckon it depends on how bad it hits you. You know.
Yeah, I mean, but your story is like a PTSD, almost like a war story.
Well, I mean, it was PTSD on top of PTSD,
Yeah, I
man.
mean,
You
it's
know, I did 4 tours in Iraq, and you know, I've seen the worst of what the world has to offer just through that. We're talking
mhm.
about dead kids on the side of the road and moms on the side of the road with maggots, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it's well, I'm looking at the I'm just kind of you said 26 Highway 26. I was just looking at the area on Google Maps here. It's yeah.
you see where it hits Highway 15?
Yeah,
You got to go west.
West Buttercup Flats.
That's close. You
We're in
should see.
we're in the portion of the show where I just look up stuff on the internet now for all those hanging out.
You should see. You should see like right before where I came out. You should see Bendale. Did you see Bendale on there?
Let's see, Bendale. I was looking for the long power line cut.
Oh, you talking about in the actual management area.
Yeah,
There's 2 sets of them. There's one that comes in out of
usually you can see them shits from Google Maps.
you should see you should see that there's 2 that go because Leaf River takes up half of 2 counties. It takes up the west side where I was at, that takes up Perry County, but there's another side of Leaf River that takes up, I believe, Greene County. Yeah, it runs slap through the middle of 2 counties.
I can
Been out
tell it
there.
probably is the. It looks like a management area. It's all got all the plants.
Yeah, Leaf River is not it's not very vast. I mean, it is big, but it's not. Red Creek's way bigger.
That's got to be the same power line cut.
Probably. I'd have to look at it with you.
Yeah, I mean it's not a big deal. I just always like visual aids. It's kind of cool to see where, like my friend out in Minnesota, how you can zoom in on his freaking property,
Yeah,
and you're like, that's where that shit is happening.
I got. We're gonna have to end this soon. I got the girlfriend blowing me up.
Yeah, you can you've been more than accommodating. I'm to the point where I'm just feeding my own ego at this point, or not ego, but interest or
Yeah,
curiosity. But
we can go.
thanks everyone for watching. Kevin shows up right when it ends. Way to go. You'll have to rewatch it. Yeah, man, that's crazy. I was gonna say, there's a part 2 to it, isn't there? Where you went back
Yeah,
out there.
yeah. Not
Had to
there.
save that for. Had to
Not
save.
there. That was that was that was in Adams that was in Adams County. That was on the Mississippi Delta.
I mean, when you didn't you go back out and get your tree stand and everything?
Oh
Like,
yeah, oh yeah, I can talk about that. That's nothing, man. So I couldn't you know do anything for a while. So I would say probably about a year and a month, year and 2 months after that, 14 months. I took a bunch of people because I left a whole book bag up there with
mhm.
hundreds of dollars worth of stuff.
You had like a
Actually,
rangefinder and your binoculars and stuff in it, didn't it?
yep,
Oh,
yep, yep. And went up there and I got my tree stand and but actually my tree stand wasn't that bad. It was a little rusted like on the outer parts, but it wasn't bad to where I wouldn't trust it. So I went up there
yeah.
and got my book bag and yeah, I had a whole lot of shit in there and it was all weathered. The book bag was brand new too, and it was by the time I got to it, it was dry rotted. Just
Oh
from all the
man,
rain and all that.
how long was the gap in between time there? Like, is it a year? Like, or
about a year and 2 months. Went out there with it with some
okay, that's
people.
to be expected.
Yeah,
Elements are a bitch. Doesn't matter how good the stuff is.
yeah, yep.
That is a good story. I mean, that's the fact that like all the just the way it moved and the way it bounces around. It's
Very robotic. Very robotic.
and the ski motion. That's Patterson Gimlin looking.
Yeah, and it was very fast too. But I'm going to tell you one more thing before I let you go.
All righty.
Um, there was something that happened about 10 years before this happened, and it wasn't it wasn't in Leaf River. It was in Red Creek. It was actually on a lease. There was this deer. Okay, this deer. We put trail cameras out and we like name our deer and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Been there,
Yeah, we
done
watch.
that.
Yeah, and we watch them grow, and then we'll see them the next year, that kind of thing. Well, there was this particular deer. Um, I watched him for 3 years. The reason I was so interested in him was the first year I seen him, he was just a 6 point, but man, he had good genetics. Man, he was super wide. We're talking about first year 6 point. He was like 14 inches wide. That's good for a first year deer.
That's
And then
mountable there. Just
yeah,
6 point
14
that
inches
wide.
wide, super high. The very next year, he went to like a basket rack 8 point. He wasn't as wide that year, but he was much taller. And then the third year, he would he went to a 9 point, but like he got much wider again, and like you almost couldn't put your hands around the base of him. You
Mm-hmm.
know, three and a
Coke
half year.
cans.
Yeah. So I finally said, I've killed deer all my life. I know how to hunt deer. And I spent some money on this deer.
What did you name? What did you name him?
Huh?
What did you name
Corkscrew.
him?
Corkscrew.
I knew you had to have one for him.
Yeah. So I tried to hunt him all through bow season, and he always got the best of me, like I'd hunt him, and then I get that, get dark, and I get out of my tree, and then sure enough, 30 minutes later, I get a picture of him coming through, that kind of thing. He always outsmarted me
Yep,
during
that's the
bow
reason you got
season.
to be. That's the reason you got Coke can antlers.
Yep. But I'm gonna tell you, thing about mature deer, you have to keep on them. You can't just like hunt them once a week. You
Mm-hmm.
you gotta change your position, stuff because like you said, they don't get that big because they're stupid.
Nope.
And you have to make sure that everything's in tune. Your wind is right. Everything. This was 10 years before my encounter, so and all my friends, they knew I was after him. They used to make fun of me about it. oh, you ain't never you ain't killing that deer. He's going to die of old, he's going to live another 2 years and he's going to die of old age, that kind of stuff. Sandy, I see you. That's Squatch Mountain Mama.
Oh, Sandy.
But anyways, so rifle season come out, and it was the very first rifle season. And I hunted him a little bit, this, that, and the other. And sure enough, he did. There was one particular day I hunted him like all day. And we're talking about from like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning till dark. I was after his ass, to sit in a stand that long, it's definitely got to be a nemesis, right?
Mm-hmm.
So about 3 days later, it was raining. We had like an early morning rain, and I said, "Oh yeah, that's his ass." Because I know, after it rains, that rain kind of masks your scent a little bit. I got up and, man, it was like nothing, dude. I got up the tree, and I seen him about 80 yards away. He finally popped out. I knew it was him, and he starts. We had corn out, feeder. He comes up under that thing, and I had a perfect shot on him. I'm talking about, just dead squeeze shot. And when I shot him, he didn't run. He folded. It's like I broke his back. It was like, boom. He went to the ground. The only thing he did is he got on his back and he started kicking his legs. And he kicked himself limp. So, I got on the phone. I'm calling my little brother up and a few other people. Oh, I finally got him. I got him. You guys got to get out here. That kind of thing. You're excited. And he was sure enough dead, man. Dead. A few minutes after that, I put him back in the scope, looked at him. Oh, yeah. That kind of thing. So, I didn't really jump down my tree and go over there to see what happened,
Mm-hmm. You're not supposed to anyway. Supposed to wait a little bit.
Yeah, he's dead. He's dead. So I waited about 30 minutes, and I said, yeah, I'm gonna go look at him. I get down my tree, got my rifle, and get down there. And let me remind you, when you're up a tree, even though it's thick, you can see over everything. It looks like you're just hunting on a field. But when you get down the tree, you got bushes up to here on you. So you got to make your way to it, When I got to him, gone. 100% gone. There was a big pile of blood where he was laying. And I started calling people on the phone. I'm like, y'all get down here, this, that, the other. Maybe he ran off. He didn't run off. He was dead. So I start combing the area around it, and I'm on my hands and knees, looking for any kind of little pin drop.
Forensic scientist all of a sudden. I know the feeling.
Yep. And by the time my friends showed up, there was probably about 10 people. I had a fucking team of people out there. Hands and knees, combing the area. Nothing. So you tell me what got it.
Yeah, wasn't a grizzly bear.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it had been a coyote or something, you would see drag marks. But it was almost like somebody put this thing, wrapped it up in plastic, tight to where it wouldn't bleed, put it across the shoulder, and walked it out. Now, you tell me what that was.
Or got into a portal.
Or that.
This is a woo-friendly show. Possible.
All right, man. Well, we'll do the part.
I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, man. I gotta go, man.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Had quite the crowd in here tonight. Let's get some music going. See everybody out.
And make sure it sound right, boys.
All right.